Goodness to you. It's Sporty King, and I always like to say goodness because I don't know whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening that you're watching. But isn't it great to have good in front of your name? Look, I'm coming on early, and I almost didn't make it. I'd like to come on at least 5 minutes early, but I got in under four. Okay, today, but I'm still here. And I do this on Wednesdays so that I could do my shout outs and welcome people into rooms. So if you come on in, let me know where you're from. And you know what? Even if you're watching the video replay, still put in where you're coming in from, okay? And because I'm also broadcasting now live on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and then as well, I post it on my website. So especially on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, we're more in the moment. So put that on there. And let me know where you're watching and listening from. And then, of course, where you're enjoying from, because that's what we're really doing is we're enjoying. All right. So thanks. So yeah, welcome. We've got less than 3 minutes for today's message. And if this is your first time, you're in for a treat because that's what I do. So let me drink to that. All right. Now, again, also, if you come in, and let me know where you're coming from. Now that I can use the marvelous wonder of technology, and then I can click on it, get that shout out of your name, and let people see where you're calling in from or viewing in from across the lines. Because if you post something, if you post a comment, for instance, on Facebook, they won't see it on LinkedIn unless I click on it. So that's why I would want you to, anything you say, please put it in the chat. Well, obviously, if you're saying something, you're going to put it in there anyway, but put it in there. Excuse me. If you're watching on YouTube, I would need you to put that in the chat, but also in the comments. Because after the broadcast is over, the chat gets erased in YouTube. And so you would just want to have comments. So I see I got somebody on there. So let me know who you are, where you're coming in from. We've got less than I don't wear my glasses on these broadcasts. We got less than 2 minutes to go for today's broadcast message. So let me know where you're coming in from. All right. I love to say hello to you and get you that shout out online. But we've got less than 2 minutes to go for today's message. And it will be a fulfilling message. I'm kind of excited about this one because I got challenged to make this message by one of my ministry brothers. Hey, okay, what's going on, Roger Carroll? Roger Carroll coming in from the Queen City. She glad to say that, right? Because Roger Carroll recently moved here from Chicago, which is where we met. And that's the same thing I did, is moved here from Chicago. So see, as I was about to say, I was challenged to do this message by my ministry brother, Daniel Lightning Jackson, in Jacksonville, Florida. And he's one that always says to me, you can't make this stuff up. And that's it. Yeah, Roger Carroll and I both moved here from Chicago, and it happens to be in my message today. See, you can't make it up. It just flows nice. So we got less than a minute for today's message, Roger Carroll, and welcome back. And those of you see her say fam, because we've established this as a family on the Wednesday broadcast, and people cross the technologies and the mediums know each other without ever having met. That's I think two things. That's one of the great outgrowths of the pandemic. Okay, because a lot of people were forced to meet other people, but it also was making the best out of something, as well as that's the magic of technology where we actually can do that. So, it's always important to find the silver lining, which is, again, a part of our message today, because that's what God does, is he constantly puts us in place for silver linings. Okay. So anyway, it's now 1 o'clock here, and let's get on with today's message. And so what I first say is welcome to Glue Wednesday. Now, Glue Wednesday, the truth is that a lot of times Wednesday, we hear people say Wednesday is hump day. Okay. And so I just put a lot of different spin on it. Hump day is actually an idiom that means Wednesday, a day of the week. And the term hump day first appeared in the 1960s in North America, most probably in business offices. Hump day is based on the idea that the work week is a mountain that one must climb. The general office week is Monday to Friday, and consisting of 5 days. And this puts Wednesday in the middle, or at the peak of the hump, or of the work week. So Monday and Tuesday are the climbing days of the week and are therefore psychologically difficult to get through. Wednesday is the highest part of this climb up a proverbial mountain. And the thinking goes that if you can make it to hump day, then Thursday and Friday are an easy slide into the weekend. So I've decided instead that Wednesday is the middle of a traditional 7-day week, regardless of what days of the week you work, and therefore declared it as the day that keeps the weekend and the week beginning together. Puts me in my wonderfully cherished prayerful pose, but therefore I say Wednesday is the glue. It's the glue, and therefore I call it Glue Wednesday. God's love undoes everything. Not that God's love will tear things apart, but that things that are torn apart, his love will put it back together. And today I'll continue what I call the gas, and that is the Glue alphabet series, which where each letter features, each message will feature the next letter in the alphabet with words suggested by last week's viewers. This week's message will feature the letter K, and my co-authors beginning with words with the letter K are Daphne Francis, who gave me the word kindred, Jose Valencia gave me the word no, Victor Morris gave me knowledge, and first timer Grace Lee Deshazer, who gave me knock knock. Okay, what'll happen is you'll see the co-author's name and the word as I smoothly ease it into the message, and it'll go across on the ticker. And what you'll also notice is that there will be times where I use a version of the word rather than the actual word. So I won't say, oh, there's that word that Daphne recommended. I'm going to get it in there, and then it'll just go across the bottom where you can see that that was the word, and I smoothly wove it in. Every week, I have what I call a guiding scripture. My guiding scripture today is from Psalm 23:4, which a lot of us are familiar with. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. And I use that guiding scripture to create today's message, which is DNR, the choices that we make. DNR, the choices that we make. So let's start with the realization that in this case, DNR does not stand for do not resuscitate, which is what people tend to think. So let's understand it does not stand for do not necessitate, resuscitate. It stands for detour. Nope. Reroute. Detour. Nope. Reroute. Next, let's play a familiar game of knock knock. Okay? Knock knock. Who's there? Dawn. Dawn who? Dawn go in that direction. Oh, let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered about whether or not you were doing what God put you in place to do? Have you ever wondered whether or not you were doing what God put you in place to do? You see, we've made a lot of choices in our lives, some intentional and some reactionary. What I'll do today is actually read and share from the last chapter in my book, Stuff Happens. And that chapter is Dealing with Change. To set the chapter up, I want you to know that stuff is STUFF, situations that unleash our focus and faith. Situations that unleash our focus and faith. And this is actually an excerpt from the story of my actual relocation to Charlotte in 2010. Okay. So I've been here now 12 years. Let me start out with the definition of detour. Detour is a noun. It's a diversion or deviation from one's original route, a deviation from a direct course of action, to go or cause to go by a roundabout way. What's a reroute? A reroute is a verb. To change the route taken by something. To change the direction of, let's say, a project, the funds, etc. Okay? So here's what I wrote, and now I got to go with the glasses. Oh, we got a comment because I'm getting ready to read to you from my book. And show you how those apply. And oh, hey, what's up, Maxine? Ha! Coming to us from Ohio, I believe. Am I right, Maxine? Yeah, good to see you. Welcome aboard. And Maxine's coming in on Facebook as well. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to be reading from my book, Stuff Happens, and I will still be looking for your comments. So don't worry about that. I'll stop along the way sometime and check out a comment and see if it goes right along with what we're doing. Okay. So stuff happens. Oops, got to go from where the page is. All right. Okay. Do you know how to get where you're going this year, this month, this week, this day, this minute? I actually chose Charlotte in 1985 while working at the Wall Street Journal. North Carolina was part of my sales territory, and I made 2 trips a year to build and maintain client relationships. I remember standing on a corner one day and thinking, I like it here. I think I'll move here one day. I began moving to Charlotte that day in 1985, as I now recognize it as my first conscious conversation with God. So when someone asked me if it took me 25 years to make the move, I responded that I used 25 years. And Maxine is coming in from Ohio. Great. Maxine, good to see you. Thanks for coming on. All right. So think about this. Someone will think that your moves or action are random or irrational. You must not be someone. Relax into the enjoyment of knowing yourself. Look at the track record of your successes more than you do your shortcomings. I'm excited to say that I have consistently gotten to the point where I don't get that knot in my stomach when I have an obstacle that pops up. As I was relocating from Chicago to Charlotte on Tuesday, July 6th, 2010, my car cut off while driving on the interstate in Corbin, Kentucky. Since it was early evening, all the tow truck could do was drop my 1993 Toyota Camry at the mechanic for an overnight stay. I did my part toward helping fix the problem. I went and had a margarita. Shortly after getting the word on Wednesday that my car's motor was no good, and considering the cost and the option to replace or fix it, the electrical power went out in the area where I was staying. That shut down 4 hotels, 1 gas station, 3 restaurants, 2 fast food restaurants, a movie theater, and the phone lines. I sat and wrote in my journal, my challenge is small in comparison. Somewhere, someone else is making this area smaller. Anger is not a good use of time. Find a way to reconnect to the joy and beauty of being blessed enough to get bumped. So what did I do? I went and had a margarita. Wednesday morning, my high school roommate, Marvin Blakely, who lives in New Jersey, called me from Knoxville, Tennessee, where he was visiting his family. Knoxville is 85 miles away from Corbin, Kentucky. So he came and picked me up that night. On Thursday, his brother Horace used his connections to help me repurchase a car at the auto auction. Okay, not just a car, a 1998 Toyota Camry. Remember, I had a 1993 Toyota Camry for $1,500. On Friday, I got the radiator and windshield fixed, got a haircut, had a celebratory margarita, and played pool with Marvin and his three brothers. Saturday at 6:30 a.m., I headed back to Corbin to transfer my belongings from one Camry to the other, while the mechanic switched the wheels from the old to the new. I left him the car to sell for parts and headed for Charlotte once again. I'm here now and awaiting the next challenge, or at least that's the plan. Meanwhile, nope, I'm not promoting alcohol or working on a tequila sponsorship with my margaritas. I'm reminding you that operating within your limits is the best road to travel. When you get bumped from your path, don't get angry, don't get frustrated. What do you do to activate your gift for overcoming challenges and reconnecting to your plan? And I want you to put that in the chat. What do you do to activate your gift for overcoming challenges and reconnecting to your plan? Because nobody's plans work perfectly. So when you hit that spot, when you hit that wall, what do you do? And some things that you, and again, even if you're watching the video, you can still put your comments in the chat about what you do to activate your gift for overcoming. Because see, you do have a gift of overcoming if you didn't know that. You have overcoming challenge so you can reconnect to your plan. I'll continue reading, and then if I see some comments, I'll come back to them. Well, I'm super productive and impactful right now because I'm in plan C. Plan B, as I look at wisdom in retrospect, plan B was to win the Toastmasters World Championship of Public Speaking and let that be my foray into marketing my business expansion. I was doing just enough to keep afloat while waiting to be able to bust out with the title behind and in front of my name, 2011 World Champion of Public Speaking, Sporty King. It was part of a vision and a conversation that I had with God in 2010. But here comes our first comment. Roger Carroll says, to activate her gift for overcoming challenges and reconnecting to her plans, take a deep breath and look for the positive points. Take a deep breath and look for the positive points. And as you'll see, that's where the margaritas came in, because I knew I couldn't fix the car. I was not a mechanic. So I took a deep breath. I looked for the positive, and I said, well, the car engine cut off while I was driving. I didn't crash. I was able to call and get a tow truck that came and picked me up. The tow truck came, and he was a wonderful guy. So when he came, instead of just dropping me randomly, he took me to a mechanic that he was familiar with, and he knew he could leave my car there overnight. And then he dropped that, and then he took me to a hotel so I could have a place to stay for tonight. So I had a lot of positive points happen, and that built up to that point where, as I was sitting there, they had a blackout. And what did I say? Well, hey, you know what? I think I got problems. Look at what just happened to this whole area. You see why I said that it made that's my journal entry. It made what I was going through very small. And even though in the book, I talk about, because I'm giving you an excerpt, but you would see that Marvin Blakely lives in New Jersey, but his family is from Knoxville, Tennessee, which was 85 miles away from me. And so I actually had called him because I wanted to see if maybe he could tell me, maybe hook me up with his family or something. And when he returned my call, he was home. And so now I didn't have to figure out a way to get there. See, so there were some positive points that all happened for me because I looked for the positive. So thank you, Roger Carroll. That's what you have to do, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, you're gonna get road bumps. But when you get the road bump, you have to find a way to just take a breath and think of what's the positive in this. And that's why even when we talked about my book, Stuff Happens, right? What's the positive? Because situations that unleash our focus and faith. Are you going to, now that you're in this situation, now you have to, wait, I got to focus. I got to focus. That's the breath. And then my faith is looking for the positive stuff. Okay. Because now I got to figure it out. Maxine says, we stress over things that we can't control. And that's so true. See, we stress over things that we can't control. The funny thing, and what's great about that is when it's something we can control, what do? We get to action. We get to doing something about it. But when we can't control it, we stress over it instead of recognizing that what we need to do is take that breath that Roger Carroll just talked about and think about the positive. Because maybe what we actually need to think about is, well, who can control this? See, I'm not saying give up. Oh, well, I can't control this. The hell with that. No. I'm saying, you know what? This is out of my control. But what do I need to do? Who can control this? That's looking for the positive. And so let that take some of that stress out of your life when you have the challenge. And again, that's what this chapter is all about. And I'm hoping that you see that as I continue to read. Okay, so thank you. And again, if I see any comments, I'll go get over there and there'll be perfect commercials for where I am. Okay, so the last thing I said was that I had wanted to be the 2011 world champion of public speaking. At least that was the vision. It was a part of a vision and conversation that I had with God in November 2010. Well, I didn't win that. And see, so again, there was one of those things. I didn't need to stress. Oh my God, I didn't win. No, I had no control. I did not win that. Okay. I had made it to the district level, which is round 4 of the 6 required. Yet I hadn't even placed. I didn't even take 3rd place among the 9 of us who were showcasing. And whenever I'm in a speaking competition, I don't call it a competition. I call it a showcase. Because the higher you go up, again, this is looking for the positive. The higher you go up in any competition, it becomes a showcase because we are now, everybody's got a different type of champion behind their name. You're an area champion, a club champion, an area champion, a regional champion, a divisional champion. See, so everybody, you're starting to showcase. Here's what our champions do. So that's the way you want to have to look at this thing. Okay, but I didn't even place among the 9 of us who were showcasing. Now, I'm not sure what the judges missed, but sure knew it was time for a new vision and a new conversation. Remember I said I had the conversation with God that this is what I wanted to do. And then I didn't get that. So guess what? That wasn't time for me to say, God, how come you didn't grant my wish? That was time for me to say, okay, time for a new conversation. I told God what I wanted. I was specific. And guess what? He said, no. He said, no, you're not going to get that. And I didn't get frustrated. That's something I couldn't control. I didn't get frustrated. What I did what Roger Carroll said. I took a breath and then I looked for the positive. And that is, I was not the 2011 world champion of public speaking, but I was still on my way to Charlotte. So thus, plan C. Plan C is to revamp plan A that brought me to Charlotte. And as it turns out, plan B was set in place to slow me down and create. Well, okay, that was the last thing. Okay, to slow me down and create. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me get back to where I was. Okay, so plan A was moving. I didn't really tell you about plan A because I'm telling you, reading an excerpt. But okay, plan C is to revamp the plan A that brought me to Chicago. As it turns out, plan B was set in place to show me to slow down and create more perspective on my gift and life purpose. So obviously, plan B stands for basics, basics, and Bible. And the places I need to, which were the places that I needed to focus on to revamp the A in plan A being aggressive, attacking, and all over. Because that's what plan A was. I'm going to Charlotte. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And then, once the car broke down, that didn't work. So what's plan B? Let me go back to my base. Let me get that deep breath that Roger Carroll talked about. Let me go back to basics and let me get back to the next conversation that I had to have with God. You see, I came here knowing what I wanted to do, plan A, and with an attitude of how I was going to do it. My senses were wide open and pulling in everything and pulling in everything around me. In retrospect, with no consistency or pattern. Plan B gave me something to funnel that energy toward. If the thing didn't complement winning the world championship, I shed it away. The more I chiseled away, the clearer plan B became in its evolution to being plan C. To use my charisma, my creativity, and my championship attitude. And as I've always believed, I don't need titles, degrees, or letters behind my name to be who I have been named. I am a champion whose creativity and charisma creeps into the hearts of many and awakens a spirit of, wow, I know him. A spirit that empowers the people I love and to whom I happily return a, wow, I know you. And I am so thankful for the part that you play in my life. So plan C continues as choices, Charlotte, and creator. I was not spiritually conscious of the compass my creative set in me on that street in Charlotte over a quarter of a century ago. I thought I chose to come here. I now know that I was chosen. So I choose to flourish. To continue the story of my sojourn to Charlotte, on Thursday, July 8th, I got a call from Sheila Funderburg, Vice President of Programming, Urban League of Central Carolinas. She was calling to let me know that they had secured a grant to teach a life skills class, and if I were interested, she'd love to have me facilitate. But she cautioned, it isn't as much money as you're used to making. I answered, Sheila, I haven't made any money in Charlotte yet. Roger Carroll, did I take that deep breath and find the point, the positive? So I'm happy to say that that's no longer true, which is also why I know Maxine now. Hey, Maxine, our Yellow Ribbon programs. I'm happier to report that listening to my spirit is an interesting challenge. I still joyfully question every decision that I make. I wrote in an affirmation in 2000 and in the year 2000 in my inspirational book called Starting Today. This is the message I wrote. The only thing I worry about is the fact that it seems like God sometimes takes you away once you get it and understand what life is all about. Have you ever noticed that when you think about the people who have been martyred, or as we think about, Dr. Martin Luther King, oh God, what's that? Oh, I wasn't thinking. And now, what's the woman's name? Well, we got Gandhi, sister. Oh my gosh, my name drew a blank. But when people start to get it, in fact, I like to use Martin Luther King and Malcolm X because remember they start out as on opposing sides, and then they ended up having the same viewpoint. But once you get it, God seems to take you away. That's what I thought. When I think this, what makes me anxious is whether or not my pace is good enough for me to leave the message that he wants me to deliver. So again, Roger Carroll, there's that breathe and look for positive. Because and again, this was in 2000. Oh man, I wonder if God's going to take me away because I know what I'm doing now. But then I said, wait a minute. That makes me anxious. I'm now wondering, is my pace good enough for me to get since I might be out of here, I need to hurry up and get this stuff in so that I can leave the message that he wants me to deliver. God wants me to do this. I need to do it now. But then I have to then I have to realize, oh, wait, did I miss something? Okay. Then I have to realize that I don't know the message's depth. See, I don't know what God's full message is for me. I know along the way as it happens. I'm only responsible for delivering a small portion, or I may have delivered it already and am on overtime. And I want you to put, even as I read it, I want you to read it the same way. See, because I want to say, you don't know, but I want you to say, I don't know the message's depth of what God wants me to deliver. I am only responsible for delivering a small portion. I may have delivered it already and am on overtime. And that's what I want you to know, is that your message will be delivered. Your message will be delivered. So, therefore, I ask you to remember DNR. Did I? Oh, okay. I see what. Y'all inside joke and laugh. Okay. So let me say once again. Hopefully. Oh, okay. Let me see a comment. Yes. Oh, thank you, Marsha. My sister Marsha coming in from Facebook. And I didn't. There's a delay, so I don't know where that yes came in. Those of you who are on Facebook, you saw when she put the yes, but I would bet that it has to do with delivering the message, or a yes as in amen. Your message will be delivered, and I'm glad I stopped right there, because that is the point I want to make. Whatever, remember what the question we asked: do you sometimes think you're not doing what God has put you in place to do? Your message will be delivered. Your message will be delivered. Remember, I always say, choose your messengers carefully and recognize that you're carefully being chosen as a messenger. So whatever God has put you here to deliver, it will be delivered. And when you have that type of faith, situations that unleash our focus and faith, when you have that type of faith, you do a better job of delivering the message, because you start to see it unfold. Because the truth is, your message may end up being that you don't get to deliver the message. Remember that's the thing about, remember the story of King David, is he wanted to build a temple to God, but God said, well, no, you have too much blood on your hand. You're not going to build my temple. I'll have your son, Solomon, build the temple. And see, but David's message was still delivered. He wanted to deliver more, but God said, no, here's what you will deliver. And as Maxine said, yeah, you can't stress over what God has decided for you to deliver. And Marsha said, yes, your message will be delivered. See, you have to have that feeling. You got to know, we are part of the tapestry to create the whole picture or message. Yeah, we are part of the tapestry. In other words, if you can see, let me switch to Marsha. My logo here, it says the top line, but that's a heart, but they're puzzle pieces. See, because that's one of my sayings, is we are all, a part of the puzzle. Life is about going from one puzzle to the next. You're either a small, medium, or large piece of every puzzle in your business, social, or family relationships. Yet, no matter what puzzle piece size you see yourself as, without you, the puzzle is incomplete. That's the tapestry. That's the tapestry. And so you have to take your message and like, for instance, think about what I'm saying about the small, medium, and large. Okay. If you're the parent in your family, right, you're the large piece and your child is small. As they grow, they become maybe more of a medium piece, because you start to rely on them for certain things. And then sometimes the roles will be reversed, and your child may have to take care of you. And so you will be the smaller piece and they will be the larger piece. And likewise, when you get promotions at jobs and all your different relationships, your puzzle piece size changes according to your, even when you were that large piece of the puzzle, by the way, in your family as the parent, then when you went to work, maybe you were entry level worker. So you were now the smaller piece. And then maybe you became the medium. So that's what I'm saying. Your puzzle piece size is not stagnant across all the lines. It's according to your situation and your puzzle. Maxine said we have to learn to move over and let our Father do his job and trust in him wholeheartedly. Yeah, you have to. It's not a good idea. You have to. And that takes us back to what we're talking about. You have to reroute, because God is not the God of the detour. He's not going to tell you to go back unless you've gone ahead without first really consulting and really hearing his word. And that's hard. Do not beat yourself up. We may think we heard the message from God and we start on a path and then we get a hard stop. And that's not, oh, what's the matter with me? That's no. Didn't I say, you heard what I said? I had to stop and say, okay, let me, plan A didn't work. Oh, okay, plan B. Okay, what we got here, God? Because I was doing plan A. And he said, okay, well, here's plan B. And now you can graduate to plan C. But yeah, we have to learn to move. And not only, Maxine, not only learn, we have to trust to move over. We have to trust to move over and let our Father do his job and then trust in him even more wholeheartedly. Not an easy thing to do. Please, we are not slapping hands here. We are acknowledging what we know and grateful that we have the ability to share it on this medium, but more importantly in life and in person. And that's what you want to make sure that you're doing. Are you sharing your message the way you should? Because your message, as we just said, whoever said, your message will be delivered. Okay, your message will be delivered. So hopefully, as you listen to the story from my book, you notice that I never considered detouring or became worried about God's purpose for me and my decision because I knew I was following his path for me. Now, I had already written that down as part of my presentation today. And isn't that what Maxine just said? Isn't that what Marsha just showed us? And, isn't that what Roger Carroll alluded to? I never considered detouring or being worried about God's purpose for me and my decision because I knew I was following his path for me. I knew there was a redirect in there. Okay. So we got another comment, another one from Marsha. And she says, because our way is not God's way, his way looks different and we must just obey and trust. And she's repeating that word trust that Maxine used. He knows best and it will manifest itself. It will, which is a part of the trust. It will manifest itself. So, but okay. So have you ever heard people say, you got to know, okay. Okay. But you ever heard people say, "Oh, I didn't put that in there. I meant to put it in there, or did I have it somewhere else?" Okay, where people say, "No, you gotta know when you know." And for me, no is, so y'all got the spoiler alert. No is kindred notions outweigh worry. Yeah, you gotta know when you know, and that's right there with what Marsha just said about God's ways are not our ways. And there's the trust that we have to know. And so you just have to know. And when you know, it outweighs the worries. What did I read you from my starting today? When I worry about that, let me see how I put that. When I think like that, what makes me anxious, see, no longer am I talking about being worried. What makes me anxious is whether or not my pace is good. See, now that I know, I'm like, oh, okay, well, am I in a good pace? Is this pace good enough for me to leave the message that he wants me to deliver? And that's when I have to know, okay? I have to know that kindred notions outweigh the worry. And it's more important to have that. And that's talking also about your support system. Okay, so knock, knock. Who's there? Ack. Ack who? I want you to acknowledge that you are doing what God put you in place to do. And see, and I am going to point this one out because that's my creative use. Vic gave me the word knowledge, and I say acknowledge. And see, so that's the creativity and the playfulness that you have to have along the path that God has created for you. Because is it a Detour? Nope. It's a reroute. DNR, it's not a detour, it's a reroute. Let me go back to what it's been saying. Maxine said it's hard for us to not be in control of every part of our lives. And see how the difference in speaking something versus reading it? Because some people will read it, well, it's hard to not be in control. And it is. But then there's the other way of the softer way of reading it. It's hard for us to not be in control. It's hard. It's hard either way. But sometimes people, the other way would be, well, it's hard for us not to be in control. We're in control. No, you're not. And so that's what makes it hard for people sometimes. And there is Bruce, right on. So we got all the Facebook comments coming in today. Right on. That's it. And that's the key. That's the key, is that you have to know when you're right on target with the path that God has chosen you for. That's what Glue Wednesday is all about. It's DNR, detour, nope. You just have to remember that there's times where you want to reroute, and just like Roger Carroll said, just breathe and look for the positive. Take in the joy of how far you've gotten. Just on this broadcast, I got to tell you, and again, I was happy and excited when I saw her name, and that's Maxine. I just met Maxine. So this is July. I met Maxine in June. And I mean, we had an absolute great time. What was that? That was the Kindred. That was the Kindred notions. Okay. Kindred notions that outweighed the worry, because we were working together on a yellow ribbon, which is, it was a pre-deployment weekend for our military. And so we had never worked together, and there were things that we were, okay, is this going to work? Is this going to work? But once we got together and we started to work and say, hey, this is what we do, and here's my strength and here's your strength. How can we make these things work for them? We were able to do that. And that outweighed the worry, because some of them were worried, okay, is this going to be a boring weekend? Or, what do they got me doing now? No, we took that away, and we helped them see how important they were and are. Once you help somebody do that, that's a part of your message. It's sometimes helping someone else see who they are. And then their job becomes to help someone see who they are. And it's a wonderful domino effect. And that, again, becomes the puzzle. And Mag, yay, welcome back, Mag. Mag says life is a relay race. Oh, I'm loving that. Pass that baton. Each runner has a responsibility to fulfill. Yeah, you don't have to control the other three legs of the relay race, right? You have to control your part of it. Your job is to pass the baton to the next runner. Just like John the Baptist transferred power over to Jesus when his time was up. And the thing is, Jesus, wait, who came first? Jesus came first, right? Because when Mary went to visit her cousin Martha, which is John's mother, and then I think I got the names right. If not, I always like to say my ministry brothers crack up and I say, look, I don't quote the Bible, I use the Bible. But when Mary went to visit her, and then Martha said, oh, my baby just jumped, because he knew that the Savior was in the room. So Mary had Jesus. Okay, so it's passing the baton. Thank you for that, Mag. Yeah, you don't have to run. There is a race of 400, but when you run the 400 relay, you only got to run 100s. So that's also a great picture, by the way, and a great analogy for how we need to handle problems and challenges in our lives. Thank you, Mark. That's my spiritual sister. That's my guru. Elizabeth was John. So Mary went to, thank you. Thank you, Marsha. And that was where Marsha and my Kindred connection came, was through a spiritual, a religious retreat that we went to, that she really got to sat down and talk to me about the Bible and some things. And that was a great moment for me. And then Bruce says, we encourage the team in the race, and the race is done. We celebrate the teamwork. Yeah, they just had the United States women upset the Jamaican women at the World Track Meet just last week, or was it this week? But and it was upset because Jamaicans were famous. But what it was, they had an errant passing of the baton. And in fact, the United States men's team, relay team, was the favorites, and they didn't even, I don't think they made the podium at all, because they had an errant, two mistakes on passing the baton. And so thank you, Bruce. That's it. We encourage the team in the race. And then when the race is done, we look at the teamwork. Now, the men's, because I read this, in the men's, they say, oh man, we screwed up. They weren't mad. They recognized, you know what? Our teamwork was just off a little bit. What we're going to do is what Roger Carroll said. We're going to breathe and go back and look to the positive and say, look, here's what we have to do better next time. And you see that, you see professional athletes do it all the time. If you hear the commentators, they always say, next man up, next woman up. So if somebody gets injured, the next person they have to have their mind in the game. You can't sit on the bench and be, smoking a cigarette and waving to the crowd. You got to be paying attention, because if something happens to the person who you usually replace, you have to go in and try to keep the pace where it had already been established. That's the passing the baton. And with my ministry brothers, by the way, we use that all the time. We always talk about passing the baton when we're sharing testimonies to uplift one another. So there's another great thing you could do. So we got a lot of great things on this broadcast that y'all can read in the chat as ways to encourage yourself and help yourself move forward. And that's why I always thank you, and especially on Wednesdays when I do my open interactive. On Mondays, it's a 2-minute message at 8 o'clock in the morning. There's no interaction, but it's a great, powerful message called the Monday Morning Moment. Friday is my gift Friday. I read one of my poetic messages that you can use to share. And I do just do a little shout out, but not the interaction that we get here. This is where we get to really do all our talking. And like Marsha said, this is why we must support one another in this race, because all of our gifts are different, but complement each other's gifts. Yes, I love to use, and Maxine has seen it. I don't know if she remembers it, but one of the slides I use in my PowerPoint is a little girl doing like this. And the caption is, we all smile in the same language. We all smile in the same language. We each have a gift. We have something, a baton to pass, a puzzle piece to connect, a gift to share, a voice, something to be empathetic about. That's what we've all got. And when we spend time looking for the differences, we hear all this talk about diversity and inclusion. Yeah, in fact, I'm going to post it. I haven't lined up the post. I hadn't put it on a date, but I have a post. It says, I admit I do see color. I do see color. I don't let it bother me. Something to that effect. I don't quote me well as well. But yeah, we have to, there are differences. But let's appreciate the differences instead of making them wedges, okay? And that's why we got yes from Marsha and yes from Maxine. Those are great ways to end any kind of message. It's with yes. But I also want to end by thanking my co-authors today, Daphne, Jose, Victor, and Grace. And this was Grace's first time, so it was great to have her on. She came in from LinkedIn last time, and so it was great to have her on there as well. But just remember, it's Glue Friday, it's Glue Wednesday, and you don't need to hump to get over. You need to keep it together, don't we? And then we need to keep it together again. And speaking of again, as we continue the GAS series, next week's letter focus will be the letter L, H-I-J-K-L. So if you want to be one of my co-authors next week, where I'll ease your word into this message, a word that begins with the letter L, put it in a thread. If you're watching on YouTube or my website, put it in the comments, because again, on YouTube, after the broadcast is over, the chats go away. And then so for instance, next week Roger Carroll is going to give us liquidate. We missed having her as a co-author this week because she usually is. But yeah, we're going to liquidate. And sometimes, yeah, that means, doesn't that also talk about glue getting it together? All right. God's love liquidates. God, yeah. So you got to get it together. And there go Maxine, love. Yeah, L-O-V-E, Maxine, let ourselves value everyone. Yeah, I like to play with them even just to get warmed up for next week. But yeah, we're going to get all these words in the message next week, even if you're watching the videotape. Again, if you got a word that you want to be a co-author, just put it in the chat that begins with the letter L, and I'll weave it into message next week. All right. But thanks again. God bless you. And remember, again, you don't have to hump and get over. You just have to keep it together. So thank you for helping me keep it together. And I'll see you. Have a safe week as we come to the end of July. So this is the last Glue Wednesday in July. So I'll see you next month. All right. Over and out. Ciao.